Folks, a very warm welcome this morning and a much-deserved congratulations to the class of 2015. I want to thank my friend Nancy and certainly my friend President Benninger for inviting me here today. I have been thrilled for the last couple of months to come and address the class of 2015. What I promised President Benninger that I wanted to do today was to say something, anything, that would resonate with Drew graduates, faculty, staff, family, friends, the entire party on this lawn today, and here is what I've come up with. As you know, I work for the Princeton Review. I have been working for the Princeton Review since I've been 27 years old. I am now 43. I worked for the Princeton Review for a measly 3 weeks. And my boss, the guy that started our fabulous company, was running in Central Park, very close to our office, the day before he was to appear on the Today Show. He got mugged in the park that morning, and he got punched right in the nose. His publicist called me up later on in the office and said, look, John was running in the park this morning. He got mugged. He got punched right in the nose. And I said, why are you calling me? And she says, because he wants you to go in his place. He wants you to go in his place. Folks, I said to this lovely publicist, I've only worked here for 3 weeks. I've never done any television before in my whole life. That's 7 million people watching me. I'm scared. And folks, there was absolute silence on the other end of the phone. And finally, I broke the silence and I said, well, do you have any advice for me? Do you have any guidance? And again, absolute silence on the other end of the phone. And then she pipes back in and she says, look, don't screw it up, kid. Folks, I need you to take 2 things away from this story. Number 1, she didn't say screw it up. And number 2, take the chance. I am talking directly to every graduate in the class of 2015. Take the chance. These opportunities don't come up all that time. These opportunities don't come up all the time. Friends, take on the stuff that scares you right down to your toes, because I promise you that if you grab onto them, it won't be fear motivating you. It will be sheer and genuine excitement. And although we cannot calculate the thrill of the unknown, I think we can all agree as an enlightened collective it is powerful indeed. And no matter if you fall on your face or you succeed wildly, the confidence that chances taken bring to us as young graduates and throughout our lives are priceless. And that's what I want for you. That's what everybody here wants for you. That's what your parents, friends, extended family, that is what we want for you. Take the chance. I would love to tell the graduates of 2015 that my message is going to be one to say, be fearless. But frankly, folks, that message never resonated much with me. You are human. You are going to be scared. Friends, you're going to be terrified. But I want you to be just as thrilled in every cell of your body. Terrified and thrilled. Terrified and thrilled. Nothing makes you feel more alive, more useful, and more accomplished. The outcome is near always less important than what you learned getting there. Parents and extended families, I want to thank you for the support that you've given our graduates of 2015 today. And parents, I am speaking directly to you on this. Your job in helping your students does not end. Although, in an hour from now, it will inherently change. Your job is to help your students find those chances. Encourage them as you have for years before. Push them, challenge them, and without question, continue your support of our students today. Our dear faculty and administrators here today, I know that each of you do this for your current Drew students and Drew grads alike, but our job is to continue to curate opportunities, these chances for our graduates today. I know that you do this on a daily basis, but our graduates need to know that our support and our access, as Dean was saying earlier, continues long after graduation. Folks, I came to Drew, my first time I set foot on campus, I was a sophomore in high school. It was the fall of 1986, and I was asked to attend a conference that was hosted at Drew as a student observer and a reporter for my Catholic high school student newspaper. The conference was held at Great Hall right up the hill here, and the conference was on AIDS and the HIV virus. I think about that day often for what later seemed to be quite remarkable, that my high school principal from our little school in Sparta, New Jersey, called Pope John XXIII, thought it was imperative that I attend this discussion as a student and a reporter and take my findings back to our class. I later learned that it was not the norm for every high school student, Catholic high school student in America, that they should go to a conference on AIDS and HIV, but that was my norm, and I remain grateful for the folks that taught me way back in the Reagan administration. But that day was indelible to me for another reason. That's the first day that I learned about this wonderful place, Drew University. And this is going to seem hyperbolic, but I have thought about Drew University every day since. Every day. I learned of a place that day that invited tough and difficult and necessary conversation, and invited students and community and faculty and administrators and neighbors to become informed, to join the discussion, to moderate that discussion with respect, and to always promote civil discourse with every syllable. I saw that day, and I continue to learn throughout these years since that act of inviting difficult and necessary conversation was the norm here. That fact, that Drew identity isn't housed in just one school, it is an inherent part, certainly of the College of Liberal Arts, absolutely our Casperson Graduate School, and our founding institution, our Exceptional Theological School. It is that core, that Drew value of pioneer intelligence and respect that is core to the trinity of schools that we have here today, and I am proud to be a member of this community. But here's the thing, I write about schools for a living, and I have visited more college campuses, and I am convinced this is a mathematical certainty, than any other person on the planet. And I have learned that many universities with different schools inherent to them may preach a doctrine of shared values of inclusive discussion, but few live them. Drew lives them. Drew lives by doing. We live by acting. We live as an enlightened collective and a community able to bring the liberal arts to work, as Bob Reedy, our dean of our graduate schools, says so eloquently and perfectly, and to live respectfully with the differences of others, as Javier Vieira, who's the dean of our theological school, also says so perfectly. Folks, these are the traits unique to few places, but this Drew of ours is one of those genuine places, and I knew it the first day I was on campus, and I suspect that everybody on this lawn today knows the same thing. I knew I was home when I came onto this campus, but you were unlike any home that I ever knew. I had none of those experiences. I knew that I wanted to be home right here, and that thrilled me, and that scared me at the same time. Folks, I got bit by the Drew bug really early because you were different. Drew was different. For the next 2 years in high school, I worked hard. I looked at a bunch of different schools. I applied to a bunch of different schools, but none of them compared to Drew. I told the other schools no and Drew yes, and my first day on campus, my parents in tow, I really met Drew students, and they were contagious with energy. And as I grew to know more and more students on this campus, I found that they were brilliant academically, but what I saw in so many people, so many young people, were folks who were utterly comfortable in their own skin, so much so that you couldn't not sit up and take notice of their grace and their ease and their flat-out awesomeness. I wanted to be them. I wanted to be you. I wanted to learn your ease of touch, your unapologetic passion for academic work, same for the physical work that you had outside of campus, same for your personal interaction, the works. Knowing these types of Drew students so early on in my life was a gift that I take with me today. And folks, as I said, I think about Drew every day, and I try to live my life through a lens that I learned long ago, and that lens is one of respect, of inclusiveness, and if you can make them laugh, you have to do it at every turn. I hold myself up to those high standards because I learned them from my peers. I learned them from you. That passion and that excitement, as I said, terrified me and it excited me. Could I ever be that great? Could I ever be that comfortable in my own skin? You terrified me, but you excited me in every cell of my body as well. Again, I wanted to be just like you, and I wanted that feeling of being adult and being thrilled and ready to take on the challenges and learn from them. And what I found when I walked onto campus, it wasn't hype, it was true. The magic beans, they worked here. You really were that awesome, and you really were that inspirational. I learned a long time ago that it was okay to be smart, it was okay to challenge, it was okay to ask questions, it was okay because we were Drew, that's what we did, that's who we were. It started with students, and it certainly continued with faculty. I was here on campus last week, and I got to speak to a couple of Drew students. It was in the middle of finals, and our conversation turned to our most difficult class on campus. And I said without question that my worst grade at Drew while I was here was in a class called The Enjoyment of Music. And it was taught by a wonderful faculty member named Lydia Ledeen, who was an exceptional pianist and a very fine teacher. But I had a terrible time in class identifying different types of classical music. And one day, Lydia was talking in class, and she was speaking directly about the French Revolution, and she played a piece of music, and she asked me to identify the music. And I listened my entire class, watching and waiting, and I blurted out, "It's a minuet." And Lydia came up to me, and she patted me on the arm, and she said, "Robert, a society in revolution is in no mood for a minuet in trio." And she was right. A society racked by civil war was not going to listen to a peppy minuet in trio. But what I learned from Lydia that day was that it was okay to be funny. It was okay to use humor to make a point, to scold, to embrace, and to teach. And I never forgot it. Not long after I took Lydia's class, I joined an improv comedy group right here at Drew called Sanity Check. I learned how to quickly think on my feet, work as a group, depend on my friends, and work in a team. I learned how to communicate quickly and clearly and hopefully use a sense of humor at every turn. Folks, you never know how life is going to turn out and what it's going to throw at you. So my advice is to keep it light and not take everything so seriously. This didn't come up in the introduction, but you may not know that I am not the most popular person in college admissions. I am not the most popular person in college admissions, and although my mom still actively denies this fact every day, I am the guy who writes the party school list each year. Yeah, right. Syracuse University, my #1 party school this past year. I am afraid to go to the city of Syracuse. So you might imagine that when I ask a president of any number of colleges that we write about for a formal visit on campus, some may pull out all the stops and clean up every beer can within my eye shot, and others make no such accommodations. I create a bunch of different ranking lists, one of which is our party school list, one of which is our reefer madness list, talking about how much weed students smoke on a daily basis. And I asked the president of one of the schools that remained high on our reefer madness list if I could come for a visit. And he said, "Absolutely, Robert, you can come onto campus, but we will make no special accommodation for you. You will go out on the student tour with students and prospective families and their friends." And I said, "No problem." I showed up at Friday morning, 8 a.m. at this gorgeous school, and we left the admissions office, which is across the street from the main campus, and we walked into the main gate with the big name of the school, which will remain nameless, name of the school and a big sign, with 3 undergraduate students rolling the most enormous blunt I had ever seen in my life. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. Truth is always better than fiction, and if you keep a sense of humor, I can promise you that your experiences are going to be that much better and your stories that much more awesome. Friends, an hour from now, you will have your degrees in your hands. Your Drew foundations, academic, friendship, career services, and otherwise are all things that you will lean on throughout your life. Use those foundations. They are without question strong. Remember that you are experts and you are conversant in the liberal arts. Use it as armor. You can speak intelligently about the poems of Sonia Sanchez, debate the ethics of gene therapy. You can chat casually about the wife of Bath's hair shirt. Make them laugh at every turn while flexing your enormous noggin muscles. If you do it, I swear to you, people will flock to you. Folks, you may stop being Drew students today actively, but what I want each of you to think about in the future is your experiences through a student lens, through a student's instinct and with a student's sensibilities. Folks, you don't need to know everything as soon as you have your degree, and you don't need to have all the answers. You do not need to have a 30-year linear plan as soon as you receive your degree. And I know that undergraduates particularly are not wired in a linear fashion, so this guidance is going to seem really easy. Folks, focus on the things that satisfy you. Be flexible enough to change your tastes, and you'll be okay. Smart and accomplished college grads, no matter their well-intentioned plan, hit bumps. And they have failures, and they scare themselves, and they make great choices and silly choices, and I wish each of these things for you, because that's the glory of it. That's not cheating time or wasting time, that is living. And honestly, if you had a 30-year plan and you knew exactly everything, wouldn't that be the most boring of sentences? Learning and sometimes relearning lessons, that is the good stuff. That's living as a continuous and a curious and a glorious student. And we, all of us on this lawn today, can identify that no matter our age group, no matter our school. I do hope that you'll look at your experiences well after graduation through a student lens. It is a youthful outlook. It doesn't mean it's uninformed. It is just curious, always curious. Keeping a youthful and a curious outlook translates into three things. You will never be defeatist. You will always favor positive growth, and you will more often than not create positive change. Folks, today is a day to celebrate your foundations, your exceptional good work, your sacrifices and your strengths, and to always trumpet out your curious and youthful outlook. People, again, will flock to you for it. Folks, you have an opportunity today, exiting Drew, degree in your hand, to have your glass perpetually half full. Full disclosure, I am an optimist. My husband Mario in the front row here tells me often that if we should ever divorce, it would be because of my unyielding optimism. What I don't want you to take away from my remarks today is that I'm preaching a Pollyannish doctrine all the day through, but look around. Look at this network of people. Look at all of these people here today to celebrate you, to support you, to love you, to like you, to give you a hand, to tell you their story, to help you curate with them those chances taken that we talked about earlier. Folks, remind yourself of your roots here at Drew. They are strong, and you may always return to us no matter where you are in life. Because we are here for you today, Drew in every iteration, faculty, administrators, parents, extended family, friends, we are here today for you. Folks, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I know that you're the ones to watch, and I am your biggest fan. Thank you.